Hello. This is the course introduction video for sociological methods. And during this course, what I'm going to be doing is going over the syllabus and then also introducing you to the course organization and the course website. So the first thing I'm going to do is start out by going over the syllabus. Here on the course homepage, you can find it right here. If you click on that, it will load. All right, so this is Sociological Methods for the fall of 2019. This course is completely online. I will be your instructor for this semester. My name is Dr. Sarah Donnelly, and I am an assistant professor in the sociology department. If you're curious about where to find me, you can find me up on the 3rd floor of Brewer Hall in room 324. My office hours this semester are going to be Tuesday, Thursday from 10 to 11 a.m. and then 12:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. And always, of course, by appointment or over the phone or whatever. Just email me and we could set something up if those office hours don't work for you. My phone number is listed here to the right, and then also my email address. So please call me if you have questions, but email is always the best way to get a hold of me. The required text for this class is Babby's text called The Practice of Social Research, the 14th edition. And here's the ISBN number. It's available in the bookstore, of course. However, if you want to get it on Amazon or you want to rent it on Chegg or whatever, however you want to go about getting it, that's totally fine with me. But just make sure that you do have the textbook for this course because we will be using the readings a lot. You will be reading from it weekly. You will be using it to cite sources. You'll be using it as a study resource, so on and so forth. In terms of additional readings, you'll have several article assignments throughout the semester, but those will be located in Canvas in your weekly modules. Okay, so this is a methodology course, a research methodology course. So the whole purpose of this course is learning about the various methodologies that sociologists utilize to produce empirical knowledge about society. And methods are the application of methodology. Basically, we're trying to answer how do we know what we know. This course is an introduction into the theory that we use, how do we design research projects, how do we collect data, how do we analyze data, and in particular we're going to focus on how sociologists study the social world. So in terms of course requirements for this course, this first kind of blip up here is really just about what you're doing this first week to really get oriented to the class through a syllabus quiz, an introduction discussion board, and then a plagiarism activity, and it's kind of separate from everything else in the class. So I'll go ahead and talk about these briefly. When I get back onto the Canvas website, I'll talk about those in more detail, but I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the course requirements. You're going to have quizzes every week. In my face-to-face class, I normally give exams. However, in lieu of exams, I'm going to do quizzes instead. And there's going to be a total of 11 quizzes throughout the entire semester. But you will only be responsible for, but only 10 will count towards your final grade. So basically what that means is you're allowed like kind of one freebie, if you will, or if you miss one. Each quiz is worth 15 points, and they will consist of a mixture of multiple choice questions and or essay questions over assigned material, and that includes lecture videos and the assigned readings for that week. You'll have unlimited times to complete the activities. However, you'll only have 3 attempts total. So be aware when you're taking quizzes that your grade, your final grade, I take the average of the quiz. rather than your highest score attempt. And the reason that I do this is so that you actually prepare for the quiz before you go in and take it, okay? So that you actually do watch the lecture video ahead of time and do the assigned reading kind of before you go in and take that quiz. So if you do go in and take the quiz without preparing for it and you do poorly on it, that score is going to be calculated into that average of those 3 attempts. This course is going to be set up kind of as a week-to-week course. So all the material, course material, including lecture videos, assignments, quizzes, will become available on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. and then close the following Sunday at 11:59 p.m. every week. The second kind of part of the course requirements here are what are known as assignments. What are known as assignments? Pretty straightforward. But assignments anyway, they can be things like film worksheets. So you watch a movie and answer some questions about it. Article summaries. Again, I mentioned earlier that you'll be reading various research articles throughout the semester, and sometimes you'll have article summaries where you have to complete answers and talk about, what's the content of the articles. And then also sometimes you might listen to podcasts and answer questions about that, or a participant observation, which is basically where you go out and you pretend like you're a field researcher and you observe the social world and you kind of create a write-up about it. So each homework assignment is worth 20 points for a total of 100 points. There are going to be 6 total. However, only 5 will be counted towards your final grade. And there again, you have that freebie there. You can miss one of the assignments. The third component of the course workload for this class are discussion boards. And discussion boards are a little bit more cumbersome. They involve several components, and the first is your response to the original discussion board question, which will be 15 points, which needs to be completed by Wednesday of that week. So if the discussion board goes live on Sunday night, you need to complete that first submission by Wednesday of that week. The second part then is coming up with a discussion question that your fellow classmates can answer, which is 2.5 points, and then 3 responding to one classmate's discussion board question. And the last 2 parts of these or components of this grade are more about getting you oriented towards engaging and interacting with your classmates. Each discussion board is worth 25 points total. Discussion boards will become available in Canvas at 11:59 p.m. and again close that next Sunday. And again, there will be a total of 5 discussion boards, but only 4 will count towards your final grade. And then lastly, the kind of overall big project for this class that's worth 150 points is this what I call an IRB research proposal. And IRB stands for Institutional Review Board, and that is a governing body that basically evaluates research proposals at universities that researchers will do. And basically what you'll be doing is you'll be writing a mini sociological research proposal, either individually or with a partner, and that's really your choice. It's up to you. You can pick your partner or you can do it individually. Totally up to you. But in general, you will be required to pick a subject to study, create a research question, survey relevant literature, and write a literature review, address ethics on human subjects associated with your research topic, and then design a research instrument to investigate your research question. So there are several smaller parts of this overall project that are designed to get you to start working on it and develop it throughout the course of the semester, so you're not doing it at the end of the semester. So there are these things called the Research Proposal Brainstorm Discussion Board, which basically is you're going to get on there and kind of talk about, well, I think this would be a good idea, I think that would be a good idea, and discuss it with your classmates. There'll be the IRB Research Proposal Abstract, where you'll basically submit, in summary, what you plan to do For that, for your project, you'll develop a reference list, which will summarize, how many which references you'll use, and that'll of course have to be approved by me. And then after that's approved, you'll do an annotated bibliography, where basically is you describe and summarize each of those references. And all of these assignments are actually required. They do not count towards discussion board or assignments that can be dropped at the end of the semester. And obviously these are all going to be on the course schedule, and I'll talk about those when we get to that section of the syllabus. There's a total of 550 points in this class, pretty self-explanatory with the grading scale here. All right, so in terms of student responsibilities, I talked a little bit about the book already, and the additional readings and where to find those. The book is required. You will need it. And then for additional readings, you can find those in the Canvas modules. Canvas and weekly modules. I'm going to set this course up on a week-to-week basis. So lecture videos, PowerPoints, assignment guidelines, and media content, discussion boards will all be available in Canvas in the corresponding weekly module. And then again, that whole thing is modules will become open at 11:59 p.m. and close the following Sunday at 11:59 p.m. every week. Something that I like to do in my online classes anyway to help people get a sense of what they're doing is what I call weekly to-do list. And I'll post these at the beginning of every week in announcements, and it'll basically just detail what is expected of you for the upcoming week. And they'll typically consist of watching a lecture video, completing assigned reading, and completing assignments, quizzes, and/or discussion boards. Please note that rarely will you have all three of those things at the same time. Most of the time you'll have a quiz and an assignment, or a quiz and a discussion board. A couple of weeks you have a little bit more, but majority of the time you'll just have two things to complete. In terms of course policies, my grading policy and feedback is I try my best to grade assignments within 2 to 3 weeks of them being turned in. It's typically 2 weeks, but sometimes I fall behind just because of being busy and life and so on and so forth. So in terms of how my feedback goes, on the first couple of assignments, you'll all get individualized feedback. But as we progress during the semester, what I'll start doing is just providing feedback for those who missed points. So if you lost points on an assignment, you can always expect to get some feedback as to why you lost those points. The other thing that I do is I also post like general feedback to the entire class in like course announcements. Just kind of detailing, what was good, what can be improved, so on and so forth. So kind of look to those if you have questions about how to improve assignments, improve quality of assignments, so on and so forth. And of course, if you're ever confused by my feedback, you are free to email me for more explanation. In terms of late assignments, makeups, and incompletes, most will not be accepted unless you have a university-approved absence or there's extenuating circumstances. And of course, that all has to be communicated with me ahead of time to kind of allow for makeups, late assignments, and so on and so forth. And I have it kind of built in the course, as you can see, that you get freebies basically. Okay, you get to miss a quiz, you can miss an assignment, and you can miss a discussion board. Not the IRB brainstorm discussion board, but you can miss another discussion board without being penalized for that. If you happen to kind of fall in the category, if something's going on in your life that makes it difficult to get work done, just let me know, communicate with me, kind of keep that line of communication open, and I'm always willing to work with students to help them, succeed in this course for sure. In terms of course communication, make sure that you check your email and announcements regularly. This is how I will communicate with you. And the best way to get a hold of me, of course, is email. And typically I'll respond immediately or within 24 hours, just depending on, if it's the weekend or not. University policies, pretty straightforward. The one that I do want to talk about here in particular is the first one. And plagiarism, I'm gonna do the shtick. I'm sure you've heard this a million times over, and unfortunately, I still have to talk about this. Plagiarism happening and kind of my policy on this. Just FYI, if there are instances of plagiarism in the class, be aware that you get an automatic 0. And I do use that Turnitin tool in Canvas that basically evaluates your writing assignments in terms of if they're authentic or if they have been plagiarized. And I've made the feature so that you'll be able to see the how it's evaluated by Turnitin before you turn it in to me. So if it happens that something was pulled elsewhere, that you can modify that and make sure that it is not plagiarized. The other thing that I do too is I provide, what you'll be doing this week is what's called a plagiarism activity. And basically what that does is it kind of walks you through like what plagiarism is, why is it important to cite my sources, and then it also asks you to cite a couple of sources in this activity, basically so that you can kind of learn how to do this and that the expectation is there from the get-go. Because throughout this course, I mean, you're going to be pulling information from the textbook, you're going to be pulling information from lecture videos, you're going to be pulling information from articles, and these are all information that you're utilizing. And to utilize it appropriately, you need to be able to cite it. And so the plagiarism guide is there to kind of direct you in those realms and how to do it and make it a little bit easier than, sending you out on the internet to find how to cite something. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the Canvas portion of this video. Resources for students. Be aware that if you are a JSU student, you get free tutoring. Click on this link here and it will take you to the services available. If you have any issues with technology, please visit either the information technology site or online at JSU. And also, if you are someone who utilizes DSS, please let me know, and I will, of course, accommodate you. And so that's pretty much it for course policies and syllabus and all that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the course schedule and how this is set up. So here we have week 1, dates, the topics that we're going to be covering each week, which are also the names of the modules in Canvas, the readings that are expected. So the first couple weeks of class, you're just really reading the textbook. And then after that, you'll kind of see articles, okay? So in week 5 or week 6, you'll be reading an article from the DOJ and from NPR. And these articles are going to be available in those weekly modules. And then here kind of lists your quizzes, your assignments, and then your discussion boards, okay? And then I have a separate column here for the IRB proposal, just so you kind of know that this column is separate from all these others. Everything in this column is required, and you do need to do those things. So if you look at how this course is kind of set up, most weeks you'll have only 1 to 2 things. Some weeks you'll have 3 things. It just kind of depends, and it fluctuates as the week goes on. Something else that you might want to pay particular attention to is sometimes students are wary about doing final projects at the end of the semester. They might not have time. I've carved out the last 2 weeks of regular class time or regular online class time for you guys to utilize strictly for your IRB research proposals, okay? So past, week 13, we're not really going to be doing too much of anything with coursework, okay? We'll be done by kind of the middle of November or beginning of November with all that stuff. And then you'll have these last 2 weeks to do your IRB research proposal. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to Canvas now, and we're going to take a look at how this course is set up. So right when you sign into Canvas, what you're going to see is this home screen, and basically what it has is just, the basic stuff, course description, which is also in your syllabus. You can find your syllabus right here. If you click on this and access it, it'll download onto your computer. Here's some instructor information about me. And, I work in the sociology department. It's part of the School of Human Services and Social Sciences. A little bit more about my bio and what my teaching and research interests are. And if you're curious about me or my research, you can see it at my JSU instructors page or on my personal website. And then again, I have my contact information listed and my office hours. And then at the bottom here, I have the entire course schedule that was copied from the syllabus. And then here I have linked in here the modules, week 1 modules, that you can go in here directly, or you can always go here in modules up on the side. All right, so before I go into modules, I do want to talk about the announcements and show you what a weekly to-do list will look like. So here's this one. And basically the to-do list is just going to tell you what you need to do. So please watch the course introduction video. I'll link this as soon as I'm done with making the course introduction video. And then here's a link to the syllabus quiz, introductions, and then plagiarism activity. And then you can also see all of this in the modules. So again, this course is going to be set up on a week-to-week basis. Typically you'll have what you don't see here this week because we're not in regular semester yet, but you'll have like a course lecture video, then you'll have a quiz, and then you'll have a discussion board and or assignment, just depending on what we have going on for that week. You'll also have course readings if it's an additional article. Just know, like next week, I know not everybody gets the textbook right away. They're waiting for it to be mailed, whatever. I will, for the first couple of weeks, provide the chapters in PDF format, but after, say, week 3 or 4, I won't do that anymore, and you're responsible for getting the textbook. Okay, so I want to kind of go ahead and just click on these and kind of show you what they are. Syllabus quiz, pretty straightforward. You're going to be asked questions on the syllabus worth 15 points. I'm not even going to go in that because, self-explanatory. So discussion board here, and this kind of goes about the general structure of discussion boards, and I outline the points that are there. And so the first week here is just really introducing yourself, getting to know your classmates. Pretty simple. Tell us about yourself, share some hobbies or interests, and what do you hope to learn from this class this semester, and then just for fun, if you woke up as an animal tomorrow, what animal would you be and why? And then after that, to kind of facilitate some more discussion and interaction with everybody, is ask a discussion question of your classmates, then respond to one student's discussion board question. And that's just basically to get you guys to interact. And for this week, the discussion question doesn't have to be anything serious. Like I did this in another class I'm doing earlier, and I'll probably do it in this one too. I haven't created my discussion yet. But I asked basically, how are you staying cool in this really humid weather that we're having in August in Alabama, which is not atypical at all. But something silly, something fun, whatever you want to do, just generate some conversation between you and your classmates. So on and so forth. Okay, and then next is the probably more time-consuming activity and also worth more points. 20 is the citations guide. So first, what you'll need to do is review the citations guide. And hold on, I gotta pause it and unblock it.